Alenka, so nice to meet you. This is a great honor. Andrew and I, we have a channel called the Vanishing Mediators, and we are reading through the seminars of Jacques Lacan. We just finished seminar 2. So in 1, there is this discussion of the concept of Verneinung, this phenomenon of, it's translated as denegation, negation, based on, and a short essay that Freud wrote, I think maybe somewhat early into his career. I'm not exactly sure of that, but I know that it has some major importance for your entire system of thought. And I was wondering if you could help us to situate this concept in the larger scheme of your thought, if it has any sort of resonances with what we're talking about right now, and also in the breakdown of disavowal, negation, repression, and foreclosure. Why do you think, Verneinung tends to be neglected here?
Yeah, thank you also for this question. I mean, there's been a time, when I was working on this concept a lot, and also then incorporated some of this in the book. I think it's really important concept that for the, let's say, the way in which psychoanalytic theory got developed, because at least for 2 reasons. One is that this was precisely the moment when Freud realized, or was able to kind of formulate clearly this thing that he encountered in his practice, already have been encountering for some time, namely that it is not enough to bring something to the conscious, to the attention of the, let's say, the analysant, for the repression to lose its grip, to disappear. So you can talk about something, mention something, but nevertheless, it's still, repression is still at work. And Verneinung was made this possible for Freud precisely because of this, the example, I suppose that everybody knows the classical example, that this patient of his said at some moment, talking about a dream, now you will ask me who this person that appeared in the dream was. I can tell you it was not my mother. So, you have this kind of introduction by the analysant of something that Freud haven't even asked, but using this kind of knowledge about how usually, supposedly, analytic process works to bring up the word, my mother. Nobody asked him if this was mother or not. So just to be able to, at the same time, kind of introduce it, put it on the table, designify this, and deny it. And this was a very interesting figure for Freud, precisely because it was one of the examples how one introduced. So it's not simply this automatism. If Freud says it is not my mother, then obviously it is. It's not simply that the denial makes is a kind of certificate that what is denied is actually at play. It is also the fact that the person brings it up they bring this up by themselves. It's not that it was so. It is this thing emerges, and at the same time it emerges as denied, and now exists as such. It exists together with this non-mother. So it is non-mother. So and this is very interesting. Then also because for me it allowed me to relate this to this kind of a more abstract ontological structure, which, I also exemplify with this joke, about coffee with milk. Sorry, we are without milk. Can it be without cream? So how the very the very part which is not there nevertheless sticks to the thing which is there. So coffee without milk is not the same thing as coffee without cream. I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but in a way, this is how the unconscious works, how it gets its thing attached to what is there. And Verneinung, in this sense of a simple, but if you take, and then there are other very important things that Freud further on says in this essay. The way the denial is presented, Verneinung as denial is presented these days is mostly reduced just to this kind of that we want accept something, denial of, I don't know, climate crisis or denial of this or that, which is a slightly different and not so nuanced usage of this term as in Freud. And here I think that what we actually do these days in relationship to all these kind of crises that disturb us and interrupt us is not so much denial as disavowal, which is to say that but it is a slightly similar structure, which is to say that we talk about it all the time. For instance, I don't know, from climate change to the breaking down of certain forms of capitalism and so on. But we are talking about it. There are people who deny it, but I really don't think this is the main problem why we don't get to really tackle with these problems, is that we say it out loud. We say, yeah, of course, there is this huge problem that we should do that. And the moment we say it, we can also forget it in a way that psychologically it is enough to say, to acknowledge it without the real of what we just said, what is there, really getting to us. And this is also how disavowal is again related to this perverse structure, which is very much this fetishist. The disavowal is je sais bien mais quand même, I know very well, but nevertheless, and my addition to this would be not simply I know very well, but nevertheless I go on as if I didn't, but more something like I know very well, I declare this knowledge, and this is precisely what allows me to go on as. So this declaration of this knowledge is the very shield that makes it possible for me to not really relate to the real of this knowledge. Does this? I'm not sure. Yeah. So from time to time, the picture freezes. So was there another part of?
No. In the interest of time, I think we should just move on to the next.
Sorry. Yeah, I tend to answer in a long way. Sorry, it's just.
No, that's okay.